Hey everybody, it's Real Bob Shady. Thanks for coming back for another video. Today we're going to be doing our second video on a DIY putting green in my backyard. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you all. I just reached a pretty neat little milestone on the YouTubes, and that is 1,000 subscribers. It also happens to be Cinco de Mayo, so I thought we would just take 1 second, do a little cheers to you guys. Cheers to us. Thank you for subscribing. And yeah, let's get to the video. Alright, so let's do a little recap of last video. So we came out here and we positioned the putting green where we wanted it in the yard. I thought about where can I get the most use of this thing. Let's think about where objects are in the yard. So I placed it appropriately. Second thing is I thought intentionally about the dimensions. You're going to be putting all sorts of products on your putting green, so you want to think about dimensions that are very useful in your application rates. Don't make the math difficult. Be intentional about how you set it up from a dimension standpoint. Third thing we did is we came in and we scalped it down to putting green height. Came in here, we did that. Then we put down the conditioner and I dethatched the area to get some of that old growth out. Last thing we did was put down the initial application of our products. We used Next RGS and Aerate, and then we came through and we put down a fertilizer with the new Pro Pete Greens Grade 1704 fertilizer. I've been excited so far with the performance. We're about 24 days into this process, so we're finally there to do our second step. First thing we're going to do is we're going to mow. Then we're going to aerate, and then we're going to put down some new products, and then we're going to put down some sand. So that's going to be the order of events for today. So I did an initial scalp of this at 5 millimeter. Then I came back at 2 weeks, and I went down to 4 to re-scalp it. I've raised it back up to 5 mil, and I like that height. We're going to probably continue with that height, but let's get started. Alright, so we just finished our cut. We're back down to 5 mil. This is really tight and clean. I'm excited about that. But here, this next step is really the most important step for this phase. And this is where we start to get into like real turf management for the putting green surface. And that is, we need to aerate, and we need to get some sand down in the core of where we're aerating. So I've created my own aerating tool, and I have this one right here, this personal one, and this is a really good tool, and I use that quite a lot. But it's not very practical for 500 square feet. More importantly than that, the tines on here are just such a small diameter that it doesn't create a large enough hole for the sand to actually penetrate, stay in there, and then incentivize that water drainage down. So I've created my own aerating tool that's going to create large diameter holes. This is not a big enough space for me to justify going and renting a large aerator the other reason why I wanted to go with my own design on this particular tool was I can adjust with these lag screws. Now that I have a large enough diameter, I can actually adjust with these lag screws the depth of my hole. So if I want to penetrate further and create a larger length of hole, a longer length of hole for more sand to go in, then I can simply adjust that if I would like, or I can bring it down. So I wanted some variability with this tool, and that's why I decided to do it myself. I'm relegated to just 2 inches with that other manual. Here I can, go from 1 inch all the way down to 6 inches. So this gives me a lot more customizability for my tool. So this is very easy to use. I've got some string here that helps me stabilize where I want to put it. I'm going to focus on getting on one side and then the other, and I can rock back and forth and create the holes that I want. And as you can see, I'm going to create finger width holes. That's going to be really good for getting sand down in there. All right, so we just got the green aerated. I want to show you guys the progress that new tool made. I'm actually pretty impressed. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is put down some more fertilizer. This is the Carbon 90 Plus 1704 fertilizer. It's green, it's grade, it's got tiny frill like we discussed in the last video, and it's propane, so it's got that peat moss in there for moisture retention. So I'll have a link to this down below, but all right, so now it's time for me to top dress the turf, and so I've repurposed some play sand that I took from my neighbor's play set over there. They didn't want the sand anymore, and with plenty good enough sand, really fine, very dry sand, and so I'm going to just repurpose that, use that sand to top dress the turf here, the green. And that's a good way for you guys to think about how can you repurpose something and make it useful for a cool project around your house. If you have one of these drop spreaders, I really recommend you get one of these from a top dressing standpoint. It's the easiest way to get an even spread of your sand across the surface, primarily because a lot of people shovel it out there, and then you've got those piles. You got to rake those piles. Whenever you use a drop spreader, it allows you to incrementally put down how much you want, but it also allows you to evenly spread across a surface. So whenever you go back and you're trying to sweep in the low places or sweep into the actual aerated holes, their cores, It's just a better overall process. It makes it so much easier, and it's exponentially easier on your back. So I really recommend you using something like a classic drop spreader. All right, now I need to get in here and brush everything up and clean up the area, and then we'll come back in with our liquid products, and then we'll just give her a nice once over as well with some water. Alright, we got her all broomed in, swept in. That part sucks. It's always the worst part of the job. But, as you can see, we've worked her in the cracks real nice and even. I'm very happy with how that all turned out. So now we just need to get our liquid products on, and we'll water in the sand a little bit more. And like I always say, you should always mix your chemicals in your kitchen, because there's no better place. Always have your PPE on. So we're going back down with Aerate and RGS. These are, they are fertilizer additives. They're really for conditioning the soil. Make sure you've got efficient soil for maximum uptake of nutrients and maximizing root growth. So Aerate will go out at half rate of RGS. I'm not doing calculations today because I'm sweaty and I'm tired, and I already know how much I need anyways. So, man, it smells good. Smells like death. Death of my neighbor's yard. Well, she's a little beat up, but she's looking pretty good. We got all the top dressing done. We got the products down. We mowed it low, got it back at putting height, and we celebrated our 1,000 mark, and Cinco de Mayo, we had a cheers. So thank you guys so much. We're wrapping up video 2 on the DIY backyard putting green. Stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. Hit the subscription bell so you stay up to date with everything we've got going on. Thank you guys again, and we will catch you on the flip side. I went and I have my own self some drainage. It's also going to promote an efficient. It's also going